Hey, good Monday, January 4th, 10:30 late night coffee and talking about Jay Abraham book. I missed the last live on Saturday, so I figured why not just jump on and cover at least a chapter. So I'm going to just try to knock that out. And hey, what's up? Let's see, who do we got on here? We got a few people on. This is streaming Facebook group. If you're not in it, Grafted In Community, which is a group that I have that I'm just going to be focusing pretty heavily on in this year. Pretty excited about some of the things that we'll be doing there. And let's see, Ethan Painter, what is up, my man? Ethan, you are just a monster. I mean, if you guys don't know, you guys need to find out more about what Ethan is doing all over the world. I don't even know what projects you have going on. Actually, I'm glad you said something. I had an email that I wanted to get out to you today to talk about some content stuff for 2020 and some videography. So thank you, and glad you're here. Excited to be chatting today. If the audio or background stuff is too loud, just give me a holler. But so for those of you who have not heard any of the Marketing Café series, I'm going through Jay Abraham's book. Sorry, I keep bumping this microphone. This thick, beastly book I go through every year, and I'm not kidding. I mean, this thing, I highlight, I underline, I write notes. It's a beast. It's one of several books. The next book I'll be going through, I'm not going to tell you. There's a couple more that I want to hit right away. Who Not How by Dan Sullivan is one, but I'm going to go through that one in like 1 or 2 episodes. It's pretty short. And then, yeah, all right, will do, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So I'll be going through Dan Sullivan's Who Not How. Good stuff there. But a couple other books around marketing. And really the goal of these lives, Marketing Cafe, is specifically to address some books and pull out some very applicable points for each one of those. And then in addition, I'm going to be just having videos to try to give like real life examples of how some of these things are being applied on a regular basis. So this is meant to be super applicable for those of you who are trying to market your business. Plain and simple. I'm not trying to like just have conversations about marketing. I actually want to give you very real examples that you can utilize day in and day out. And so we're going to be talking everything about, today we'll be talking about lifetime value. I think we get into that in one of these chapters. I don't know. Let me check my notes. Yeah. So we're talking about LTV today. And so, yeah, let me just jump right into it. This is not going to be a super long episode. So it's 10:37 at night. I hope you guys are either getting ready for bed or getting ready for your second wind. So I just got my cup of coffee ready. And also, on a side note, for those of you who are in the Genesee County area, we do pickleball. If you haven't heard of pickleball, we do pickleball Monday through Friday. So we do that at 7:30 a.m. to 9. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, want to get some cardio in on your mornings, you can leave before 9. I mean, sometimes we cut it off at 8:30, but that's available for those of you who are in and around our area in Michigan. You just shoot me a message and I'll give you all the details on that. Let's see. So let's see what we got going on here. Jay Abraham, Chapter 7, Break Even Today, Break the Bank Tomorrow. If you have listened to anything I've ever produced, even the podcast, Grafted In Marketing Podcast, first or second episode, I talk about the LTV. You guys see that? See how I swing in my chair? I don't know why I do that. I don't know if that's like some psychological trauma I'm trying to avoid or what. But it only happens as soon as I go live. I do not do this all day. I don't do this in meetings. I don't know if it's this. I don't know. You guys have any tips? Let me know on how to stop doing that. Nervous energy. That's it. I think that's it. I'm surprised I don't I told myself I was going to like tape the chair down. It's funny because my 4-year-old and I just did like we called it Bros and Dads live video. Just as a little sidebar comment here, we did Bros and Dads live video, and it's unlisted. It's somewhere where only my wife can view and laugh at us. So I sent her the link so she can laugh. But it's funny, but we didn't do that. We sat still, and he pointed at the smash subscribe button, and adorable. Anyways, I'll spare you the details. So Jay Abraham, chapter 5, break even today, break the bank tomorrow. LTV of a client. I cannot tell you, I cannot stress to you, I actually did an Instagram video on this a couple weeks ago. I don't do much on Instagram right now, but part of my commitment in 2021 is to do that. And I talked about, it's one of the most important things in a business is to understand the lifetime value of your client. And the concept is simply about making money on the back end and not on the front end. And in reality, this is how this really makes the difference between businesses that are successful versus ones that struggle, is not truly understanding the lifetime value of your client. Because the minute you unlock what that is, it begins to show you how much you can spend to acquire a client. And whoever can spend the most to acquire a client wins. So Jay says, acquire a client at a loss. No value will bring in the likelihood that they'll be sticking around much longer for the product and or the service. He says, until you identify and understand exactly how much combined profit a client represents to your business for the life of that relationship, you can't even begin to know how much you can afford to invest to acquire them. So one of the things about direct response marketing, which is the thing that I'm going to hit on every time, you're going to hear that. To me, I've said this in past episodes. So if you watch the Marketing Cafe for this book specifically, there's 3 episodes previously. 3, yeah, this is 4. I hate that I do that. I talk about that very thing. I talk about that need to know that price so that you can begin to win. That's not where I was going to go with that. But basically, he says you have to understand how much you can spend. Oh, I'm sorry, direct response marketing. So I'm going to continue to talk about that because I believe, and it's totally cliche to say red pill. I mean, everybody has utilized the term red pill everything to mean something that nobody else is doing. These are, once you try these shoes on, you'll never go back. This is the red pill of shoes. I mean, everything that you can think of. When in reality, and it comes from the illustration of the Matrix, the blue pill, red pill, the red pill, you're awakened, and reality is there, and you can never go back. I firmly believe that direct response marketing is the red pill in marketing. If you dive in, if you just tip your toe, every marketer that you've probably heard of that's really good at what they do, practically, I mean, like guerrilla tactics, like they understand the necessity to make money for small, medium, and large-sized businesses. No fluff. They don't do metrics based on brand exposure, brand impressions, time on your page. All of those metrics are fine, but you can't pay bills with any of them. Completely irrelevant to the real crux of the issue. How much did this marketing collateral bring into the business? And how are we going to utilize, what are we going to utilize as a tool to measure that? Absolutely critical. Direct response marketing, I'm convinced, is the red pill of marketing. And we'll bring up names. I'll be talking about them in future episodes. I have a bunch of people that you wouldn't even know started out, their whole career has been launched off direct response marketing. For whatever reason, it has this cliche kind of thing. Like everybody's like, they just equate it to mailers, although mailers are extremely profitable if you know what you're doing. But they only equate it to mailers. But in reality, direct response marketing should be applied to every single piece of marketing that you do. So we're going to talk about definitions. We're going to talk about all that. But it's expensive. And it's expensive because you can't add fluff. You have to actually have measurable results. And because of that, you need to know what your lifetime value of your client is, because then you can know how much you can spend to acquire them and either break even or lose money to acquire them. But when you understand you're making money on the back end, now this is predicated on you actually knowing the value of what you're producing and that it's actually going to cause them to want to come back and all those other things that need to be in place, you're going to see the profit. So here's a clear example. Jay gives this example of an air conditioning company in the in his book, and he talks about this air conditioning company client of his that sends out a mailer twice a year to all of his clients and then to his geographical area and his target audience. And he offers them a free cleaning on their air conditioning during the summer. So he sends it out during the summer, like springtime. So it's $19.97 to clean your air conditioner during spring. And then he sends out the same thing in winter to the same audience, and it's $19.97 in the winter to clean your furnace. The reality is the actual cleaning cost was something like $30-something, $32. And so he's like, this guy is actually losing like $10 or $12 for every time he goes and does this. Why would you ever do that? You're losing money. This is not working out. And then he goes on to kind of explain how half of the people, 50% of the people that he shows up and does that service require some immediate fix to the furnace or the air conditioner, which then tacks on $125 fee, service call fee, surcharge. And they know that going in, and he's not trying to like make them buy, they don't have to buy it. They don't have to, 80% of them do. And then a big portion of those, I don't think he gets into the metrics, end up staying on as permanent clients. And so he goes on to say this $10 loss per client actually nets the company over the lifetime value of each one of those $2.5 million. That's 50% of their revenue comes from these two mailers that they're sending out twice a year at a $10 loss per visit. But he understands the lifetime value, the 50% probability of them actually needing some kind of service, and they sign up. So this is absolutely critical. So this entire chapter was called Break Even Today, Break the Bank Tomorrow. So the whole concept is like, you may not, and here's at the end of the day, why you want to understand your lifetime value and understand how much you can spend is so that you can really begin to know what you can give to acquire the customer. A lot of people go, okay, I'm going to discount my service. I normally encourage people never to discount your service, never, because then it's just priced to the lowest and you don't want to be known for that. You can tack on benefits. So that's the wrong direction. The goal is to see how much you can afford. This is something Jay says. The goal is to see how much you can afford to spend in order to make your offer so much more appealing than anyone else. So if you know, like if he knows he can spend $20 to clean something. He's not racing to the bottom, but he knows he can do that. And it's so appealing, so attractive, because nobody can afford to do that because they're just thinking in terms of the back end. So that's why it gets really, really complex if you're not doing the right math. Let's see. The goal is to see. So he gives a couple of examples, and see, it's 10:48. This is going to be shorter than I thought, but I just want to give you a few examples of ways that you could take that LTV. If you know, I think I used the example recently of like a restaurant business. Like if you know the average couple is going to spend $50, you got 25, you're going to make, let's say, $10. But if you can get them to come back numerous times, if you get them to come back 3 times, which is the typical number, then you've acquired them as a lifetime client, and the probability of them coming back more times over the year increases dramatically. But you know how much you can afford to spend. So Jay gives a couple examples, and not all of them are customer oriented. He says you could give your salespeople more cash for more motivation. So you could take, let's say you're making $100, you find out that's the lifetime value. They're not making it, you're not going to make it on the front end, but the probability of you making it over time. You can increase their commission to increase the probability of them selling, increase the motivation for them selling, things like that. You can give more products and services. In fact, this is like the most common option. So we'll just look at, like, once we understand the lifetime value, I just had a client in Kansas City where we just did a every door mailer to Awesome program. There's a couple connections. If this interests you, let me know, and we can talk about some different ways to set this up for your business. But there's actually a way that you can find out every business or every person, every new residential person, the most recent people that have moved into your geographical area, and you could just automatically be sending them mailers all the time. Like, hey, you just bought a new house. Welcome to the area. Here's a new offer to welcome you into the new area. What we don't do is say, we're going to race to the bottom. We're going to discount your service by this much. We say, we're going to give you all of these things because they understood the lifetime value, which is way more than anybody else is able to give, and see what happens. So that's another option. Third option is buy something that complements your service or product and package, but isn't like a competition to it. It complements it, and just bundle it together. This could be maybe a company next, like if you're in the coffee business, Ethan, I'll use you as an example. There might be somebody like next door who understands, like, if they give, if somebody walks in and you say, have you been here before? And they say no, they get a complimentary protein bar from a company next door, and you're allowed to give out 20 of those or 5 of those a day or 10 of those a day, and it only costs the complimentary company $10 because their actual cost in that is $1. They don't make any profits, but the probability of that person saying, I'd love that, can I actually do you sell that, and then you guys work out a JV or whatever, or they go next door and they buy it, whatever that might be. But that's a bundling option. So for those of you who can figure out, it's really fun if you can actually unlock a company that's doing something very similar to yours, but doesn't compete, and then you can create some really long-term joint ventures together with that company. So that kind of stuff gets really, really exciting. The key here is to lower the point of resistance, and this is the important part. The key here is to lower the point of resistance by offering something so irresistible that they would be foolish to not take you up on the offer. And you can't know how much you can afford to lose until you calculate your LTV. So that's something that Jay says. You just simply can't. You can't know how much you can lose until you know what the value of that customer is. How often are customers coming back? And a lot of times, a lot of like POS processors now can calculate that. They give you the data. They tell you how many times people came back. Reward programs, all of those things kind of bundle together to showcase what that is. So that's all I got today. So today is really, that's a brief one. That's chapter. So this is video 4, but that is chapter 5. So we're going to talk about Viva la Difference tomorrow, or this Saturday, and make an offer. So we're going to talk about irresistible offers, how to create those things where once you've calculated your lifetime value, and boy, if I can spend this much, I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make any money. I may lose money on the first transaction, but I know the probability of, if I could just get them in the door, they're going to come back. That's the whole concept here. And what you need to go is, what can I do? What can I create that's going to get them in the door? And so that's the whole reason for calculating lifetime value, because then you can go, all right, we're not going to make any money on this first transaction, but watch, they're going to come back because what we're producing is so amazing. Predicated on that you're making something actually worth promoting and worth marketing well. If you're not, that'll be episodes for the next time. Not Marketing Cafe, but grafted in video for how to love what you do and do what you love. That's all I got for today. I appreciate you guys being here, and just really excited to just keep going. So appreciate it. And we'll be talking this Saturday. And Ethan, thanks for joining us. And Ed, thanks for joining us. And everybody else, I'll catch you guys this Saturday for the next chapter's Irresistible Offer. Take care.